its architecture, just the shape of the building, communicates to the world something really interesting is happening here.
We're all embarking on a transformational sort of a journey. The world's sort of changing, and it's changing very, very quickly.
There's a real energy inside this building. It's packed full of amazing speakers giving really interesting talks, from tech to how to design films. This wonderful program of lots of different experts from around the world.
Being able to connect with other people and realize how similar we are, honestly, and how much we can benefit from collaborating together. And I think that's really going to spark a new level of creativity.
What's been very interesting for me, having visited Saudi a few times now, is an incredible groundswell of creativity and excitement. There is a creativity here that's not been tapped, and I think the opportunity now to unleash it through art, music and culture is going to be fascinating.
I believe that the opportunities that are being offered here in ITRA are really great for the youth in Saudi Arabia, especially that they're bringing global knowledge inside the Eastern Province.
Really opening up ideas around creativity and how that can actually influence the future generation.
This is very unforgiving architecture. It's very reduced, so everything needs to be perfect. So we're having details which would have to be extremely precise in order to work properly. The entrance pavilion, which is like, it's different, that's the only one. However, all the other 4 pavilions are identical, yet they're turned. And we created a geometry where they will always look different depending on how you turn them. We wanted, of course, to get a feel that you're walking to some extent into another world. So we're having different layers to that. So you're coming into the pavilion, you're coming to this courtyard, walk, of course, into the cooler Nordic light. And then you're in that space and can really be immersed in the art of Edvard Munch. We needed to create, just from an engineering point of view, a space for fine art. However, we also wanted to use the great hall. The perforation of the inner skin, it creates this kind of starry sky. And this is something which relates very closely also to some of the art from Edvard Munch. So we decided early on, okay, we want to use it, we want to have it part of it, we want to have it as a backdrop for our pavilions.
Munch really cannot be explained in a few words. His historical significance in the art world, and now bringing him here to this region and the significance of that itself is beautiful. We aim to always inspire the youth, and the Great Hall's objective is to bring world culture to Saudi Arabia. This is a prime example of that, and young artists can come here and learn, and I promise you that they will be excited to try something new after they come here and feel the sense of history in these paintings.
Wizard of Oz is the musical theater that tells the iconic story of the MGM movie about Dorothy, who dreams of rainbows and ends up leaving Kansas in a tornado and ends up in the magical world of Oz. In the merry old land of Oz. This show has been to almost 200 theaters throughout the world, and I have to say, there's not any that are as close as world-class as ITHRA. State-of-the-art facility, professional staff, a beautiful, beautiful theater, incredible designs. It's a very, very special venue to be a part in this beautiful part of the world. The magic of storytelling with music and dance, and to bring that to a part of the world where civilization really began.
The Wizard of Oz is the first time that we've used the theatre's full capabilities of its automated line system and orchestra pit. We've had many shows here, but since opening, this is the first time the orchestra pit has been used to its full potential.
The audiences have been so welcoming and so giving. Honestly, I remember on opening night, like we were, as a cast, all pretty emotional. It was an unforgettable experience.
Do my bidding, fly. Fly! Fly!
So Bethany, our stage manager, and she's standing behind this screen where she is watching the show. And so every light cue that happens, every time the bubble comes in with Glinda, or the witch flies, or a different set piece moves in and out, she calls that. So when she gives the go-ahead, all of the crew members move the set pieces in and out, fly Glinda in, truly make the magic happen. Whatever it is, always do what you love, because through our passions we are able to create such beauty, and we're able to give that to the world, and that is a gift that can truly be unlike any other.
It was pretty magical when first arriving here to see Ithra as you're driving around the road as you lead into the entrance. You almost feel like you're on a magical road to Oz.
I think it's amazing that the program represents a promise of continuous enrichment for the people of Saudi Arabia, and the fact that they are achieving that promise through the arts, through science, and through culture, it's truly spectacular. Probably one of the best words to describe Ithra is magical.
This exhibition is actually a very important event because it is the meeting point between the great culture of Saudi Arabia and this wonderful museum, which is really amazing for technology and for culture, with some excellence that comes from Italy with the drawings of Leonardo da Vinci.
In Saudi Arabia, for the first time, we have the chance to watch the works of Leonardo da Vinci. I try to show how we can connect an artist of the Renaissance time of the 15th century with an artist of contemporary that worked in our age. We try to put in relation the energy of the 20th century, the sun, with the energy of the 21st century, the moon.
ما يهمنا في هذا المعرض فضلا عن انه يقدم اعمال تعرض لاول مره خارج ايطاليا ليوناردو دافنشي المهندس، انها ايضا تقدم لنا نبذه عن دور الحضاره العربيه في الربط ما بين الحضارتين اليونانيه القديمه وحضاره اوروبا في عصر النهضه.
It's wonderful that Ithra can have some drawings by one of the most known geniuses in the world, which is Leonardo da Vinci. And I think that Leonardo da Vinci would be very happy to know that his drawings can be admired in Saudi Arabia, especially in this splendid technological center. I think that it's amazing how Saudi Arabia is expressing itself with this building. With not only is it wonderful from the point of view of art, but also of knowledge with the library, and also with the idea of teaching people with the museums and the different settlements here. I hope it's the first step of many collaborations among our countries.
I think the dream of flight is something we've all had since we were kids. The idea of just being free from gravity and rising up and moving where we want in three-dimensional space. I think in a small way, in a very noisy way, we deliver that for a moment to people when they watch that.
rising from the sand of Saudi Arabia, a structure designed to make history.
The first time I saw this project, I was just overwhelmed.
You have organic, free-form shapes.
Nothing like it has ever been attempted.
This is the most experimental, deep dive into technologies that we've ever done.
The stakes are enormous.
The question is not what is difficult, the question is what is not difficult.
The pressure is unrelenting.
You know what's the plan. Somebody can do it faster than me.
A lot of confusion, a lot of tension.
There was some kind of communication problem or something.
Engineers, you bring them something simple, they will complain. You bring them something complex, they will complain.
But if builders succeed, they'll help propel this nation towards a bright future.
These young children, they are the future leaders, innovators. They are the future Saudi.
And unveil a new wonder of the world.
People will wonder, how is it built? How is it done?
لا قدر الله نرجو اتباع تعليمات موظفي المركز والتوجه بهدوء نحو مخارج المسرح. نرجو أن تستمتعوا بالعرض ونرحب بكم مجددا في مسرح إثراء. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the ITHRA Theatre. As mandated by theatre etiquettes, we would like to remind you to put your phone on silent mode. In case of an emergency, please follow the instructions of center staff and make your way calmly to the exits. We hope you enjoyed the performance, and once again, welcome to the ITHRA Theatre.
السيدات والسادة، رحبوا معنا بمقدم الحفل عبد الله الراشد.
مساكم الله بالخير جميعا. شكرا والله حضور طيب الصراحة. أول شيء اسمحوا لي أحييكم في مسرح إثراء وأهلا وسهلا فيكم في ملتقى تنوين. السنة هذه ملتقى تنوين الثيم حقه هو الإبداع واللعب، وبداخل كل مننا طفل صغير يحب يلعب ويحب يكتشف، لكن مع تزايد مشاغلنا وهمومنا نبدأ نفقد الاتصال بهذا الجانب فينا. فهدفنا السنة هذه عبر تنوين نجدد مفهوم اللعب ونشوف كيف ممكن نستفيد منه بطريقة إيجابية في حياتنا. طبعا نحب نشكر مركز الملك عبد العزيز الثقافي العالمي إثراء على المجهود الجبار اللي يقومون فيه لإحياء هذا الملتقى بهدف نشر المعرفة والإبداع والتواصل الحضاري. خلونا نشوف فيديو قصير عن إثراء وتنوين.
In a place where you cannot dream as a kid and open your mind, whether it is painting, playing, doing artwork or whatever it is, then where do you go if you cannot open your mind at a young age? And that's what I saw today. I was looking around and I saw a lot of kids having fun with their family, which is very important, you know, keeping it as a family thing. And also the fact that, you know, this place will attract people. Not only the locals, but look, I'm here. Some people will come here to see it because it's magnificent, and I encourage people to come and see it, and that's very important.
I think the future of mankind, and frankly the past of mankind as well, has all been about people who are not afraid to go and imagine and create and learn and innovate. All of the problems in the world that we've got, I think, will be addressed most efficiently by people being innovative, collaborating with different cultures and different ideas, not being afraid to experiment, to learn from that experimentation, to play, you know, very relevant to this event this year.
قبل ما نبدأ اسمحوا لي أذكركم أن اللقاء راح يكون باللغة الإنجليزية، فاللي يحب ترجمة فورية موجودة الأجهزة عندنا، يسأل أحد المتطوعين أو موجودة عند الاستقبال. الآن خلينا نبدأ نعرف بضيفنا لهذا اليوم. شخصية رياضية كبيرة جدا، حقق خلال مسيرته الكروية إنجازات عجز ناس بعد كثير عن تحقيقها، واشوف كثير منكم لابسين بلوزة ارسنال اليوم. فالهداف التاريخي لنادي ارسنال حقق كأس العالم مع المنتخب الفرنسي، اوروبا، الدوري الاسباني، الدوري الفرنسي، الانجازات لا تحصى ولا تعد. انا شخصيا يعني معجب كثير فيه. وعشان ما نطول عليكم خلينا نشوف كمان فيديو تعريفي بالضيف اللي عندنا اليوم. ضيفنا اليوم ضيفنا اليوم غني عن التعريف. رحبوا معي بتييري هنري. Pleasure to have you, Henri. How's it going? Please. The guys are really hyped about meeting you.
Yes, me too, guys. Hi.
What an atmosphere. So, welcome to the kingdom, first of all.
Thank you.
I understand this is not your visit here, first visit.
No, not the first time. I went to Riyadh last year. I don't have the time to, stay. But it was like a day, and I enjoyed it. And I'm back here now in Dammam, and I've been enjoying it so far.
And I understand this time you've stayed for a bit longer than the last time. So, out of your experience so far, what surprised you the most, or what have you liked the most?
What I liked the most, I think I heard it when I was behind, and was to see the smile on the face of those kids when I was walking around this impressive building. Being able to dream is key for me, but seeing the kids, how they were interacting, how they were happy with their family walking around was just, for me, priceless to see.
Have you learned any Arabic while being here?
Listen, I grew up with a lot of, and I know it's not the same Arabic, but I grew up with a lot of North African, and so, you know the usual, shukran, afwan, mashallah, inshallah, salam alaikum, the normal that you hear. Put a sentence together is very difficult for me, but I will know the easy, I will say, words.
Well, that's probably much better than my French, but well done, man.
Thank you.
So, people say that you're probably the greatest striker in the history of the Premier League. You're one of my personal heroes and idols. I think you're one of the best footballers, just full stop. So, in your opinion, had you not been in the Premier League, who would have been the greatest striker?
First and foremost, thank you. I don't know if that's the case, but thank you for saying that. And after that, I think for me it's very difficult to you said that about me, someone else said that about another player, and you can debate that the whole night. I think for me what was important, is did you have an impact on the league? Did you have an impact on your position? Did you have an impact on your club? I think for me that's the most important thing. Then people will view or say who was the best or not. But ultimately for me was to leave a mark. And as long as you do that, I think for me, you're up there. Wherever people see you first to third. But if you're amongst the talk, it's not bad.
Yeah, I guess the emotion plays a big part of that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, out of the stadiums you played in across your career, what would you say is the best atmosphere? Although the atmosphere here isn't too bad tonight.
Not bad. Like you mean away from home? Away from home or the club that I played for?
Whatever you prefer. Maybe away from home as well.
Well, beside the magnificent Highbury, it's obviously I'm going to be biased. I took it as my garden. It was just outstanding stadium. Nothing can beat that ever for me. Anyway, anyhow, having said that, You know, playing at the Camp Nou is magical. Playing at the Emirates also, I didn't play a lot of games, don't get me wrong, I see them now. Playing at Madrid away is great when you wear a Barcelona jersey, also is great to play there. But, you know, you have to give it to Anfield in terms of atmosphere away from home. It was always a special stadium, and they always made it difficult for everyone, by the way, not only now, in my time also it was always difficult to win there. But we all know that, you know, Highbury was special for me.
Yeah. It's a culture, I guess, and the stadium helps a lot.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
So you've moved around in your life to a lot of countries. Where is home for you today?
London.
Okay, still live in London. Is that the Arsenal fan inside of you?
Well, listen, my life changed as an athlete and personally for me when I was in London, so I will always call London home, for sure.
Okay, you mentioned the athlete, and I'd like to begin to unravel a bit about that. And I'd like to ask you, growing up, who was your personal idol?
My dad.
Was he a footballer?
No. But that's, listen, if we go into the proper sense of where you wanted to go, obviously you were talking about football, but my dad was the hardest man to please. To put a smile on his face was the hardest thing to do. So he was the guy that showed me the game and everything. So putting that aside, Marco van Basten was my idol when I was young.
And I guess it's an important differentiation that not necessarily our idols have to be people within our own profession. We can be motivated by people who do nothing like we do.
Yeah, for sure. It depends where you're looking for your source of motivation. You know, mine was to please my dad, then to aspire to be like Marco van Basten, which was very difficult. Whatever it is, it doesn't have to be an athlete. It doesn't have to be maybe someone at your house. You know, whoever you can find that source of desire that you can have within yourself, also through that guy, that can be, you know, a help.
You're a natural footballer, Thierry, but have you ever considered being anything else than a footballer, and what would it have been?
You know what, I can sit here and tell you a story about what I could have been or should have done. It's impossible because I only thought about the game, and so I was lucky enough to make a career. And people don't see the guys that fail. You know, people don't see the guy that have to go back home, being the hope of a family, being the hope of, you know, bringing that name really high, and sometimes they have to go back without anything. I didn't find myself in that type of situation. So I would have liked to think that I had the desire within, you know, myself to reach whatever I wanted to reach, but I had football in my mind. I can be sitting here and telling you a story about I would have been a great lawyer or whatever, well, that would be a lie, because I don't know. All I knew was about what I did, play the game, I had nothing in my head. But if you want, I can tell you a story that what I could have been doing, but it wouldn't be true.
Okay, fair enough. That's a straightforward answer, and I appreciate that. Now, moving to a lot of different countries, you were exposed to different cultures. What kind of impact does that experience have on an individual?
First and foremost, I was exposed in a nice way to different cultures in my neighborhood. Why? Because of, you know, France colonizing a lot of countries. Yeah. A lot of those, you know, people from the countries that they colonized came to live in France. West Indian, Portuguese, Italian, Polish, Spanish, North African, Western Africa. And so I was exposed to different cultures, different food, different religion early in my life. And so that was the best experience in my life was early. Because being in a so-called not great neighborhood, that was great for me at the time because I couldn't compare it to anything. It allowed me to travel, although I wasn't going nowhere. But if I was going to go upstairs to have a couscous or go in the second floor to go and have some cheboujen, that Senegalese food, or go to have some bacalhau with the Portuguese downstairs, yeah. That allowed me to travel, staying where I was. Music allowed me to travel, listening to different music. So when I opened up to the world, I realized that actually it wasn't all like that people were not all together. But because I grew up in that type of environment, I was ready for it.
Yeah, I understand. We have one of the youngest demographics in the world here in Saudi Arabia. What would be your advice on decision-making, specifically regarding their future, to the young students and professionals here?
Listen, it goes together. Whatever you do in life, I think for me it's very important that you know, no matter what you do, You need to face the problem. Don't ever run away from a problem. You might not solve it straight away. You might not win, but you need to fight in the right way with a calm spirit and being clever at it when you come back again to fight that problem again. But face it. Don't run away from it. Face it. Don't be scared to fail. You will. It doesn't really matter. You will. Put that in your mind, but come back and try again, but smarter.
It's a learning experience, I guess. Now we've reached the lightning round, and I'm sure you guys are going to like it. So to give a bit of context, we're going to have a few questions come up. You're going to have 10 seconds to answer each.
Okay.
Clear?
10 seconds, I talk a lot, that's too short.
First question, please. Who is the GOAT, Thierry?
Muhammad Ali.
Wow. Good answer.
Sorry.
Why Muhammad Ali? Why someone outside football?
Because that actually term arrived to us because of him. It's him. I'm the greatest. He said it first, and he was. So you have to give him that.
Next question, please. Who's your current favorite player?
Messi.
Next question, please.
Is that quick enough?
Yeah, it's good enough. Out of these defenders, who's the toughest one you've faced?
It's not there, myself. I was my own problem. Because when I was on tune, they couldn't stop me. When I wasn't, my dad could stop me. So myself.
Next question. What was the most memorable moment of your career?
Winning the World Cup.
For France, 98, who could forget that?
Well, winning the World Cup at home is difficult to beat.
Next question, please. The most agonizing moment of your career, Thierry?
I don't have any things happen for a reason. That's where you learn. You learn from those moments. So it's a learning curve, so I don't have any.
It's the attitude. Next question, please. Who's going to win the Premier League this season?
It's early to call, but right now, it looks like it might be Liverpool, obviously.
And for the final question tonight, who was the most underrated player you've ever played with?
Sylvain Wiltord.
Wiltord. Could you please explain why?
Why? Because he was always doing his job. He never got, he scored a goal in the final of the Euro that was almost unnoticed. He scored a goal at Old Trafford for us to win the league there. I'm just saying that, throwing it there for the Man United fan. And he always used to come up big whenever he was called upon. And people never ever noticed his work and what he did. And he was a great professional, rarely injured, and playing hard all the time.
Fair enough. We've got a special show for you tonight, and we have a few young, brilliant, skilled individuals coming all the way from Riyadh.
I thought you were going to say that Sylvain Wiltord is here.
Maybe you can invite him. But yeah, these guys are extremely skilled and talented. They're going to be presenting a freestyle show in front of us on the stage today. I'm sure you're so skilled, Thierry, when it comes to these things, especially in training. You don't see what a player is capable of on the field.
Well, I don't know if at that level of what they're about to do, but, well, we'll see.
Okay. Please welcome to the stage 3 talents. Big round of applause. Well done, boys. Well done. Not too shabby, innit?
At all. You know what? I would have broken my back trying to do that. But what's also very difficult there is you guys need to understand they have to do that on the spot. You know, right in front of you. They can't do it again. And, you know, you get judged on that one time. It's not easy.
It's one more learning experience. Now, I'd like to dissect a bit more the career excellence that you've been throughout your career. You reached the top from a very young age, winning the World Cup with France. Would you tell me what was harder, getting to the top or staying there for so long in your career?
First and foremost, we're talking about me here, which is a bit too much, but I get the point. But I reached that level with my teammates. You know, it's not such a thing of doing stuff alone or being able to reach the top alone. So I had the opportunity to play with great players in and around me that helped me a lot to go through those experiences. Having said that, it goes without the other one. So if you, it doesn't go without the other one, I meant to say. To stay at the top, you have to reach it, right?
Yeah.
So what's harder or not is different. Reaching the top was really hard. Staying at the top for a long amount of times, it's harder, obviously, because you have to repeat. People know how you play. People study you. People study your team. You especially. You have to come and be unpredictable in every game when you know everyone is studying you, trying to stop you, and have to perform all the time and deliver all the time. And so, yeah, staying at the top for a very long time is extremely hard.
I would guess so as well. Out of all the trophies you have ever won in your life, which one is your most prized asset?
You know what? When I was younger, in a selfish way, as we all are, let's all be honest, at the beginning, it's all about yourself. It's all about putting your name out there. And at the end of your career, you do recognize what I just said. So any single trophy that I want, every single trophy that I want as a team were special for me. It doesn't matter where it was or how it was, because you suffer with those guys. You go through problems with those guys that you guys might not see. Some guys are struggling sometime in the game with their mental health, with problems at home, and yet you support each other for that whole suffering. You have 5 seconds of joy at the end of the season. When you put the trophy down, you have to do it again the year after. But winning as a team beats every single thing. I don't care about single awards. I understood that a bit later in my career, and so any trophy that I won with my team were pretty special.
It's very interesting that you've mentioned it, but the Invincibles, famous Invincibles team, the group had a very close relationship to each other. Even as a fan, you could sense how close the players were to each other. So how much does that personal relationship and trust between these players contribute to being able to play, to have big achievements, and maybe get something like an undefeated Premier League?
Listen, whether it's sport, company, family. Well, family is a bit different because you don't kind of choose your family. It's your family. But we actually knew what we were about. We were all men at work doing what we're supposed to do. It wasn't about come and eat at my house or eat at your house. It didn't matter. I knew you were going to cover me. I'm going to cover you, and I'm going to run hard for you. You're going to run hard for me. Then talent comes in the equation. Obviously, you do not have to love the guy that you're playing with to play with him. You know, you have to leave your ego and your pride on the side. And if I have to give the ball to you, although I don't like you, I'll give you the ball. We have to win. I don't have to win. We have to score. I don't have to score. If it happens that I'm scoring, I will score, and times again. But if I have to give a ball, also I will give the guy the ball times and times again. Once you understand that we have to win and we have to score, then you start to share. And then it goes. It's contagious. Sharing is contagious.
Yeah. That's very well spoken, actually. Yeah, I like that. And as your career progressed and as you grew older, does your motivation or inspiration change, or is it the same since you've ever started?
Yeah, it depends. It depends because it's kind of weird, football, because it's a collective sport, but you have to keep your ego in check, but you need to have it also. Because without it, you won't survive. So you need to know when to switch it on or off. So like I said to you, my motivation at the beginning was to make sure that I could put my name out there and show people who I was. And then after you realize it's not about yourself, like I mentioned before, it's about the team. and what the team needs in order to win, even if you don't like it. So that's why it changed.
And as a professional, you had a lot of impressive strengths. But what I want to ask you here is, how does an individual figure out their own strengths and weaknesses?
Well, it's kind of weird. When I was playing, I was going to make sure that nobody was going to notice my weaknesses.
Yeah.
So I was always trying to bring the defender where I wanted him to be and where I was going to be able to show my strong points. Do you understand what I mean? Because if not, I'm not a back to the goal type of guy, or I'm not a box player. I wasn't a box player. I could score in the box, don't get me wrong, but I wasn't a box player. I like to move a bit everywhere, share the ball, and score when I had to score. So I was always trying to bring the guy that was with me where he was going to show his weaknesses, and I could actually take advantage of it and show how strong I was in those certain moments. It's a battle that you need to have, but ultimately, if I have the ball, you have to go where I am, if you want to get it back. So once you start to understand the game, and you always have like people that tells you what you're not doing well, which is important also to progress, but you need to emphasize a bit more on what someone is doing well. That's why we like him. So I started to work on my weaknesses a tiny bit more, but way more on my strong point. That's what made me. That's what actually is going to make me be the difference.
If I can give an example for that, for example, you haven't scored too many headed goals in your career.
Mhm.
Was that a conscious decision on your part that you would focus on other aspects of the game, or is it just a matter of opportunity?
The best, that wasn't me, in all fairness. I scored at the end of my career a bit more headers. But Jose Reyes, that passed away recently, and I was destroyed about that. You know, he went home up there too early. But he had the best line I've ever heard about that, about headers. He didn't like to head the ball. He was way smaller than me. And we were walking in front of the goal, I remember, and we were walking on headers. And you can imagine I didn't like it too much, but Arsene wanted it, or we did it. It was windy that day. The ball was staying in the air anyway, horrible. And he kept on controlling the ball in the air, putting the ball down and shooting. And Arsene lost it. Listen, we're doing a drill here to work on headers, and you're not heading the ball. That's enough now. And he turned and said, I only use my head to think.
Oh, wow.
People do forget that football is also here. So then I stole his line because I loved it. It's true. It's here. So that's a bit of a cliche one. Yeah, but that wasn't me. I was more a guy that used to like to run a bit everywhere and make things happen with the ball at my feet, or running in behind early.
And to wrap up this segment, I just want to ask you another thing, is that what you've managed to achieve during your career has inspired generations, but I want to ask you, how did you get through the first 8 matches of not scoring a goal with Arsenal?
Well, it's funny that you said that. It's actually, Jamie Carragher the other day told me something, is I wasn't playing. Those 8 games, I was on the starter. I was coming off the bench and starting sometimes, so I didn't play the 8 games in a row.
So you did not think about it a lot?
No, I didn't. And, remember at the time when I arrived, I was on the bench because Kanu and Bergkamp were starting, and Overmars was on the left. So it was very difficult for me to get in the team. And so I got 15 minutes there, halftime there. I started one, and then you go back on the bench. And so it's a normal process that you need to have. You need to make sure that people are going to trust you, because nobody's going to give you anything in life. And then once they trust you, then you can have an impact.
Now we have the iPad segment coming up. You're going to like that. So Thierry, again, to give a bit of context, we've put a few famous comebacks on the iPad, and we'd like you to rank them from 1st to 5th, according to what you think. And please,
first, huh?
Yeah, take us through your thinking process.
First, I'll go first.
Okay.
First.
How come this one?
Sorry?
How come this one specifically?
It's an easy one. The magnitude of the game, it's a final, Champions League final. It didn't happen in a round before, a stage or a friendly game. It's final of the Champions League. You're playing against Milan, that were known to not concede goals. They're 3-0 up. Game is over normally at the time. And maybe Milan thought that the game was over, and Liverpool started to believe that they could do it. And that's the best comeback I've ever seen personally.
Okay.
So that's only my opinion, by the way. I'm not saying that's the best ever, but for everybody. But for me, it is.
Number 2?
Again, I have to go with a final. Finals are finals.
Champions League finals, yeah.
That's what makes the difference for me, because of the game. And I remember watching that game at the Camp Nou, actually. I remember Lothar Matthaus leaving the field and thinking that they won it already. Basler hit the post. Also, they chipped the ball, and I think it was Mehmet Scholl hit the crossbar. And I really thought that game was over. It was like, and then in 2 minutes, you end up losing the match. And Man United went on to win the treble. So that's a simple one.
You think it's more difficult when the match is more important?
No.
Or just
a match is a match, but
memorable?
it's a final. There's an extra thing that makes it. That's why I put those 2 games first and second. And then we're gonna go.
The remaining ones we have are a bit recent, so the memory should be fresh.
I'm gonna have to go with this one.
Remontada.
I'm gonna have to go with this one because that's the worst thing that you can do, underestimate a team that knows how to win. And don't get me wrong, they got caught also after, but being 4-0 up, Paris thought that it was over.
Yeah.
But trust me, I played at the Camp Nou. If you think that it's over going back there, it's a wrap. And Neymar that night was on fire, and he made them pay. And if you remember well the game, Leo didn't have a great game. Suarez didn't have a great game, just Neymar, and that was enough to win the game 6-1. So that was just ridiculous.
We're a bit pressed for time, so what do you think are the 4th and 5th?
4th and let me see. I'm gonna have to bring Liverpool again.
Liverpool are featuring heavily
Same
today.
because Barcelona now won 3-0. Although it same happened the year before with Roma. You will think that time they would have learned. And Liverpool did it again. Champions League night at Anfield. Barcelona got caught. I could put the Arsenal one, but it was group stage. We won we lost 3-0 at home against Inter Milan, and we had to win by 4.
San Siro. Another
to win, and
night.
we won 5-1. But it was a group stage, so although I don't like Tottenham.
No, you didn't. A fair man.
I have to give them that because they lost the final, so I don't really care, so I can give them that. No explanation, 3 goals in the last 20 minutes. We all know the story, but they lost the final.
Let's give them some credit. That brings an end to the iPad segment. Thank you very much for playing, Thierry. So for this next segment, we're going to focus more about the leadership and the management experience that you've had. Let me start with a simple one. Do you think people are natural-born leaders, or is it an acquired skill?
I think it's both. Sometimes you can be a natural-born leader, and you can see it right from the start. You can learn from the natural-born leaders. Things happen in your life also that puts you in a position where you have to lead right from the start when you didn't ask for it. But also some people don't actually realize that they are leaders.
That's true.
Do you understand what I mean? Sometimes you have some people that not realize that when they speak, people listen. Or when they get upset, the whole room gets upset. When they smile, the room smiles. And sometimes you not noticing that can be a problem at times. That the way you act has a massive impact on people. So I think that you can learn how to be a leader, yeah.
You'd probably develop the skills needed to be a great leader.
Yeah, from what goes through your life. Yeah. Like I said, sometimes someone that didn't have parents, they suddenly have to lead the family.
Yeah.
And you have to, because you're in a position where you have to put yourself where your brothers and sisters are looking at you, and maybe you have to go to work to feed the family, and technically you are leading. You are being, that guy that everyone in a family looks at to raise everyone in a way. So are you ready at that particular moment? No, but you're going to learn.
Yeah. And going back to football a little bit, what do you think makes a good captain?
It depends. You have two types of captains. You have the guy that's going to be in your face and
The
talk and
vocal
tell you the
captain.
truth
Yeah.
and be vocal, as you said. And you have the guy that leads by example, the way he plays, how he trains, being always on time. He doesn't talk too much, but you look at him and his behavior, you're like, oh, well, okay, that's okay. I like a bit of that. I'm gonna do that. And then you have the guy that's gonna be in your face and shout and be vocal. So you have two types of guy. It depends. But I always say, a leader can lead if the room or the team or the dressing room is receptive to what he's saying.
That's true.
So yes, it goes without saying that you need to make those guys accept you. But if those guys are not being able to handle shouting, or they're not seeing the way you are and the way you behave in a dressing room, you can lead as much as you want. If the pack is not following you, also at one point it's very difficult.
And from your personal experience, who do you think the captain that inspired you the most was?
I had a different type of guys. You know, I had Didier Deschamps that was very straightforward, calm with it. As you saw, he managed to win another World Cup with as a coach this time. Patrick Vieira was a leader by example. I had Tony Adams that was very vocal. You know, it just depends. You know, you had the Xavi when he was Victor Valdez. It depends. Victor Valdez was vocal. Xavi was just the right amount of talking and being calm and playing the way he plays. You can only admire him. So it depends. But like I said, you need to have also the ability to recognize the signs of a leader to make sure that you can also adapt to them. Because at a time, a leader sometimes doesn't. He needs to wait for the pack, but at one point also the pack needs to come along with him. You know, it's a 50-50 thing, but
yeah.
the pack needs to understand also how the leader leads. Can you accept it? Not always.
And what is the, let's say, the process or the decision-making process of choosing a captain? Is it something like a tactic employed by some managers to have control over the team, or do you need to choose the most natural man for the job?
Yeah, sometimes it's pretty easy because you see how, like I said to you, how the team respond to one guy. Out of, you know, not because maybe the guy is trying to make an effort for them to, but it just happened. So it's easy. The most difficult thing is when you don't have a leader that comes out naturally, that when you start to ask people and you start to see, and that's when it becomes really difficult because naturally it usually happens. You have in any group, wherever you go, even if you go and visit a town, and you always have two guys who will tell you, or one said, okay, let me deal with what we're going to do today. And then sometimes the reaction of the pack will tell you if they accept him or not. So it happens naturally. But when you don't have that guy that comes forward to say, okay, I'm not scared to lead. I'm not obviously literally saying like that, saying it, but the way he behaves. The attitude. And so, you know, but it depends on the reaction of the pack. Because you've been in some rooms, I'm sure, and I'm sure in the audience, where a guy wanted to lead, and when he left the room, you all went, yeah, right, what is he talking about? You know? But the guy in his mind is like, yeah, I'll talk to them, don't worry, it's all good. Nobody listen. You know, but it's difficult to know, you know, and see that. And the boss has to recognize actually and see if that guy is actually the guy, although he thinks he is, but if you don't give him the armband, you also kill him. Because he thinks, you know, everyone listens to me, but he doesn't know what people say behind his back. You know, it's kind of a weird one in the dressing room also.
It's a trade-off sometimes.
Same in the office, I'm sure.
And does a leader have to be able to know when to step back and maybe let others lead? And I'm maybe referencing specifically your goodbye message to Arsenal fans. You mentioned that you were very vocal and people were listening to you. For example, you were shouting for the ball in positions where you might not have been in the best place to shoot, and they were passing it to you because you were the leader. So you recognized that moment and you thought it was in the best interest of everyone to leave and let others lead. How does a leader figure that moment out?
Well, first and foremost, a leader and a guy that thinks he can make the difference will always call for the ball. Then it's on you to analyze if you have to give it to me or not. And I will call that ball every single time in the game, always. But then also, it's also you to lead on your side. No, I'm not giving you that ball. It's on the right path to go to goal. That guy is free. I'll give him the ball. Ultimately, I want the team to win. But at that moment, when the ball comes, I want it because I think I can make the difference. That's how everyone is on the field. That's why I said to you, ego in the team is very important. But at one point, you need to know when. That's when it's a bit tricky because if you play with Messi, he wants every single ball.
Yeah.
But if there is a better pass, it's on you to analyze it well. If you don't see that, there is a little problem.
That's the importance of the team you mentioned earlier.
Yeah. So stepping back or not, later step back, especially when you're in the heat of a battle, because you need to understand. If I go back in the dressing room and we're not playing, I'm more calm to be able to analyze, be more eloquent and nice about it. When we're playing, we're playing. I'm upset. You know, we're losing 1-0. I'm not going to have a cup of tea with you at that moment and say to you, well, listen, you know, next time when the ball comes, think about, no, there's no time, we're losing. And by the way, my fans are telling me also we're losing. I don't think they will understand if I start to have a cup of tea with a guy on the field and try to be all nice. You need to understand that's the way it is and go forward, that's how you win.
And that changing perspective and the desire to win has not changed even as you transitioned into management. Would you please tell us what the most difficult part of that transition was for you as a footballer to a manager?
Everything, because as a player, I never went into the office of the coach to find out how he was. I didn't care. Fans don't care about the coach.
Yeah.
They care about who is going to play. He didn't play the right guy, he's struggling, but they never know about the real state. They don't want to know about the real state of the coach. Nobody cares about the coach. I didn't. I'm playing. Okay, I train, I go home. If the boss has some argument with all the other guys in the team, that's on him. I don't really care. If he argues with the sponsors, that's not my problem. If he argues with the fans, that's not my problem. The press, the board, that's not my problem. But then I find out. That's when I started to call everybody and all my old coaches to go like, oh, hang on a minute, how did you deal with this and how did you deal with that? Because then I wanted to know. But, you know, it's a learning curve that I need to understand. But yes, it wasn't easy because you don't think about it because you don't think about who helps the helper, right? Sure. When you have a problem, you go and see the coach. But who does he go and see? He has to, you know the Green Mile. You saw the movie The Green Mile?
Yeah.
So it takes everything, all the sickness from everybody, then he knows he's going to die from it. But he still does it. Yeah. But who rescued him? Nobody. And you know what I mean? It's the same with the coach. It's very difficult. The coach has nobody around. Nobody cares about the coach, what the coach is thinking. All they care about is the team lost. He didn't play the right guys on the right. So it's not the right tactic. And that's all it is. So I'm learning that curve, and hopefully I will have another opportunity soon.
Hopefully. We're all hoping for that and rooting for it. Thank you for your answers. Now we have a segment where the questions will be coming from the audience.
Oh.
So, from the audience, whoever would like to ask a question, Tanween have found a new way to play. These are throwable mics. Please, when you get them, just get them close to your face and start talking. It's going to be clear. So, whoever would like to ask a question, just raise their hand. Okay, we got one there.
Oh, wow.
Oops, there you go.
Apart from Messi and Ronaldo, who do you think is the greatest player right now?
So then he's not the greatest, right? Because he's third. Is it? No, I don't know. I'm just... Who comes after?
Yeah, who comes after?
I like Mbappe. I mean, it's... You guys are going to say to me it's an obvious choice because he's French and so on. But I like him. I like his way of playing. I like how direct he is, and I just like him. And you know, we won the World Cup. It was incredible. Although they knocked us out in the semi-final, it was a weird one for me, by the way. But Mbappe.
Now let's have someone from that side. Okay. Oops. Okay. Let's hope no one dies. Oops. Just give it to one of the stewards when you're done.
It's like I feel like I'm at a wedding.
Go. Ask the president.
Okay.
No!
We got one there.
Okay. Who is the best player you played with?
Dennis Bergkamp.
Always. Well done. So from this side. There you go. would like to try one?
Do you believe in astrology? And what's your horoscope sign?
Wow. Wait, hang on a minute. Say that again. You caught me off guard.
Astrology.
Do I believe in it? Sometimes. When it suits me to believe in it. Now, joking apart, I don't actually believe in it, but I'm a Leo.
إيه خلاص خلنا.
What is the most important goal for you? And what's the beautiful one?
The most important one was when I came back to play for Arsenal. That's a selfish answer because I came back as a fan and I scored a goal. That's the dream of everyone for their club. But the most important one, it will have to be again Arsenal against Liverpool when we beat them 4-2 at home because we lost against Chelsea in the quarterfinal of the Champions League. We lost against Man United. I didn't play that game. I don't know why Arsene rested me. I'm still upset about that one. Lost against Man United, and everyone thought we were going also to collapse that year. We stayed unbeaten, and I never felt like that explosion for a goal at Highbury. Everybody exploded when we went 3-2 up, and yeah, that's a special one.
We have another question there.
Can you sign my T-shirt?
It's not a question.
No.
Okay, I'll try to shoot for the back. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to reach there, but I'll give it a go.
Try.
I'll try.
Woo,
not a handball
very
player,
best.
but here that goes. Oops. Almost. Sorry.
What was the best goal? What was the best goal you have scored?
What was the best goal?
Best goal.
The best goal. The best goal you've scored.
But it's almost
He
the
just
best in
answered
terms of beauty.
Yes.
Okay.
The backward goal, yeah, the famous one.
It's kind of weird. It is kind of weird because the Man United one, you know, Man United, Real Madrid away, but I scored some goals that technically were more difficult than that. But you guys never noticed that because you guys like a solo goal, a volley, or whatever. But I scored a goal against Newcastle at home. I think it was in 2001 from a long ball of Tony Adams, and technically it was way more difficult to do that than the goals that I scored. But I would have to go with Tottenham.
We have a question there. Go ahead.
Yes. In the last 10 years, in your opinion, who leads Europe?
What do you mean?
Yeah, in Champions League. Who leads Europe? In the last 20 years, maybe.
Oh, no, 10, 20?
20. Make it 20.
Wow, well, let's say 10.
Okay.
I'm getting old. 10, is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. You said 10 first.
Yes.
Okay.
10. 10
All right.
or 20 is still Madrid, so.
Okay.
Other than that.
Barca. You said 10 years, not 3 years.
Why Barca specifically, Thierry?
Why? Because in those 10 years, and I know you said Europe, they won also a fair amount of Champions League, but count the titles instead of Real Madrid, the 10 years. If you don't know, it's 8 out of 11.
Go ahead, Arsenal fan. Right?
Yes, I wanted to ask you about your favorite moment against Tottenham. Was it the long-range celebration or the winning the league at White Hart Lane?
Everything. I can't say it. but everything, because I never lost against them, so everything.
بمشيها هالمرة بس المرة الجاية رجعها للستيورد لو سمحت. تفضل.
Hello, Thierry. Make sure.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Make sure no one here likes you as me. Okay.
He's a bit jealous.
All right. Okay.
I wanna ask you, what's the reason that made you leave from Arsenal?
To compete. I'm a competitor. I'm an Arsenal fan, but I love Arsenal. I'll die for Arsenal, however, but I love my mom, but I love to compete more.
So we have time for 2 more questions.
Up!
Please just make sure you take care of the time. Not a lot of time left. I'm trying to cover everyone. I'm sorry if I can't reach in the back.
Thierry, what do you think Arsenal need to win the league again?
That's a good one.
A bit of everything. I think, I was talking yesterday to someone about it, joking about time. Time, you have to give Unai Emery time to work. There's some players that were at the club that were not his players. They might have to move. I don't know. I'm not there to know within the dressing room what's happening. You have to give him time because, when Klopp arrived at Liverpool, they were struggling the first 2 years. They lost the Europa League final. Then suddenly he put some pieces to how he liked to play. And now they are very competitive. Very, very competitive. So he had time. So maybe in 2-3 years or 2 and see how it goes. Let him work a bit and see where we're going with that. You have a great goal scorer like Aubameyang. I personally like Lacazette. Guendouzi looks like he's coming along. Give them time to grow, And I know we want success now. And me too, don't get me wrong. I'm frustrated that we're not in the Champions League. I'm frustrated that we're not even competing to win the league. Right from the start, it looks like we're not going to be there, but let's give them time.
Well done. Final question, please. There's no more time left. Please be.
Mr. Henri, pleasure to have you here in Saudi Arabia.
I know you.
A little bit. We work together. A quick question. How did it feel when losing to France for the World Cup?
Oh, weird. Weird because as a competitor, obviously I was working for Belgium, you work. First time in my life I didn't sing my national anthem. I used to sing it proudly, and I just couldn't do it because you have to understand and respect where you're working, and I couldn't just do that. It was just impossible. But then when we were out, obviously, what you meant to do, we out. I'm French. So, yeah, it was weird. I have to say on the day, it wasn't comfortable.
Thank you. This brings us to the final segment of tonight.
Oh, I'm excited.
So, Thierry has been generous enough to have 10 signed balls thrown into the audience. So 10 of you lucky members are going to leave today with a signed ball by Thierry Henry. Bring out the balls. Atiya. You want to sign this Thierry? Let me hold it. Seb? Get it. I think they're already signed.
Oh, yeah, they are. Yeah, that's what I thought, because I did it before.
to the top, to the top. See if you can get it. Woo! Thank you. Oh! Almost, almost. Thank you. Oh, that's high, that's high. Thank you. Oh, nice! Thank you. لا تطيحون يا جماعة لا تطيحون. You're right. You're right. I'm keeping it. I'm keeping this one. You can keep it.
I never had a ball signed by myself. I'm keeping this one.
Everything has a first. Save the best for last. A lot of shouts. Hey! So we've come to the end of our night today. I'd like to thank all of the audience for their time and for being here. Also, big round of applause for the audience. You deserve it. Also, Thierry, it's a pleasure to have you here. You're always welcome in Ithra, in the kingdom. It's a pleasure to have you, and we look forward to having you many more times again. Thank you. Let's go. Thank you.